I see it slightly different. I think the game is still on, so to speak. I think Russians want to, in a broader sense, reassemble control over the lands, because they don't even treat these countries seriously, over the lands that they have lost, that at various times in history belonged either to the Russian Empire or to the Soviet Union. They need this in order to threaten Europe. They need this in order to project their power westwards. And they need this to basically kick Americans and Europeans, EU especially, out of what they see their zone of entitlement. I think he dislikes that because any clarity of the course of the future, as in Ukraine or in Moldova or in Georgia, he wants to disrupt. And Putin is weirdly legalistic because he breaks all the possible laws and international norms, but at the same time, all the time, kind of referring to them. So he understands that it's serious, and he doesn't want this to happen because that is in his zero-sum world, and remember, he's operating in a zero-sum world. If Moldova becomes a member of EU, it means it means different rules based. It means Western companies. It means more democracy. It actually means that eventually they will lose control over Transnistria, because that enclave, which they already have, believe me, it will not want to stay in the gray zone of the world, but it will want to, people will want to get richer. They will want to send their kids to study to Europe. They will want to sell their cognac that they produce, their brandy, Moldovan brandy, to the EU. That's what they will want. And they will eventually lose control over that military base. I think greatly, and Maya Sandu was saying that the outcome of war in Ukraine, she herself was, very, I think, empathetic, and she was like a strategic partner to Ukraine. That's why Moldova took so many refugees. And one of the routes actually for people's travel, because, there's no airplane connection, goes from Odessa to Chisinau, and then people fly out. So it's an important hub and connector for Ukrainians where they feel safe. And that could not be the case, if you have a hostile government. And that would basically mean that Ukraine would be surrounded by hostile states from Belarus to Chisinau if she loses the vote. But and again, I don't think Putin has altered his war aims, and that is basically subjugation of Ukraine. And it's not about territory just in Donbass. He will not be satisfied with that. That means he can have another go at Odessa if he assembles enough troops. And if Ukraine is not, supported substantially to resist, and that was his plan, to cut Ukraine off the Black Sea. And that means a land bridge to Moldova. And that's where, also I think, that's what it means for Moldova, that if Putin is making land gains along the Black Sea, Moldova may collapse. I mean, I think we had information, and that was confirmed by Moldovan sources, that they were training young men in Russia to cause, mayhem on the streets. and I think that's possible, where they could try to destabilize Moldova, challenge the legitimacy of the election, maybe call for another revote, some kind of a pro-Russian color revolution, if you want, kind of expanding on this quite weak support for the EU, as we do know that was kind of a shock to many, how tied the win for pro-EU on the pro-EU referendum was. So this should not be excluded. And I think further voter buying, and then if let's say if there's evidence of Russia rigging the election in their favor, what will Sandu do if she is defeated? So you see that I think Russians always, before kind of a very open, kinetic moves, try everything that would deny their involvement. They always have this implausible deniability using everything below the threshold of sending soldiers in. And they will try it, I think, because right now they have some hope. They have some hope that there was such a weak support for EU, that Maya didn't, the current president didn't score so well in the first round. Yeah, it's possible. If she loses in the second round, there will be the next kind of electoral event, which will be the parliamentary elections next year. And parliament is very important in Moldova. That she could have a kind of try to retake power, because then the parliament appoints the prime minister, which is quite important. But I think she already lost power once, I think in 2019, that she lost power and then she came back through elections. So it may lead to a kind of deadlock in politics in Moldova. It can lead to young people even more leaving Moldova. There's already a huge brain drain. And it may, if there is this instability, then it may lead to possible intervention on behalf of Russians to defend, as they like to say, Russian-speaking, constituency, population. There could be, what happened in Crimea, there was a call to Russia, right, to defend them from Kiev. There's Gagauzia, let's also remember, right, the autonomous region that Russians could use as this new springboards to destabilize Moldova.